It's wonderful to be able to be here to commemorate Okinawa Memorial Day. My name is Susan Schnall. I am a veteran of the United States Navy. All of you who are walking by on Fifth Avenue, stop and listen to a U.S. veteran who has seen war and says, we need to stop and we need to commemorate all those we've harmed. Thank you for inviting me to speak this afternoon. Remembering the lives lost during the 3-month battle over Okinawa, in which 240,000 people were killed. Japanese military forces, American soldiers, sailors, Marines, and most tragically, Okinawans, many of whom were civilians. The end of the Typhoon of Steel, the bloodiest battle of the Pacific War, which ended June 23, 1945, involved bloody hand-to-hand combat, outright killing of the civilian population. After massive bombing by Americans and the largest amphibian landing of the Pacific War during World War II. World War II, it seems like ancient history to those of you on Fifth Avenue going from shop to shop. World War II caused the deaths of over 60 million people. 60 million human beings. Nearly 2/3 who were killed were civilians. Think about that. 2/3 of the people who were killed in World War II were civilians. That means, folks, all of you here would be killed during a bombing or an invasion. War is personal. It was the war in which my father, an American Marine, was killed on the island of Guam. It was a war I've lived my whole life. I never knew him, except through pictures and letters and others' memories. It was a war that destroyed my mother and her hopes and dreams and future. We were just one family of one dead soldier. When I watch the news and hear about the casualties of armed fighting, of war, of people of all nationalities, I feel this deep sense of loss for that person, for that family, that child who lost a mother or father or a sister or a brother. We Americans leave our trail of destruction all over the world. Our corporate greed, our economic imperialism, the militarism of the United States economy knows no bounds. And you all who are walking from store to store on Fifth Avenue are contributing to it because you don't stop and listen to us who talk to you about war and what it does. You need to listen. The next time, folks, they're coming for you. We know that war and militarism are destroying the planet. United States forces occupied Okinawa for 27 years until 1972, when it, quote, returned Okinawa to Japan, promising to make it a peaceful island. Returned Okinawa to Japan, returned a people and a culture that rightfully should never have been ruled by Japan. So let me draw the connection to Gaza. The genocide in Gaza continues with the history of Israeli occupation, dispossession, and displacement of the Palestinian people to the Nakba in 1948. The state of Israel was built on the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. Okinawans also face the brutality of settler violence. From the Japanese annexation of the Ryukyu Kingdom in 1879. Today, Okinawa Prefecture contains the largest number of U.S. bases in the world. Stop and listen to us, folks. We're talking about your future, the future of this country, the war that we're perpetrating all over the world. Stop and listen to us. About 80,000 U.S. troops are stationed in Japan. Since 1960, the U.S. and Japan have maintained an agreement that allows the U.S. to secretly bring nuclear weapons into Japanese ports. Although Okinawa Prefecture comprises just 0.6% of Japan's total landmass, it contains 70% of United States bases that are considered to be stationed in Japan. 2/3 of U.S. bases in Japan are on Okinawa, which is less than 1% of the country's land. There are about 50,000 U.S. military troops, an additional 40,000 dependents, and 6,000 American civilians. And for all of you walking by, think about what Congress is doing. They will reinstitute the draft, and you and your children will be vulnerable to the draft and possibly sent overseas and sent to harm and kill people in another country. In January 2023, the United States and Japan agreed to increase the number of American troops in Okinawa. Kadena Air Force Base, which is the largest and causes the most destruction. Kadena Air Force Base is located in the center of a heavily populated area. Think New York Public Library as an Air Force base, leaving the entire population of Kadena subject to the loud noises from the aircraft, to potential aircraft bombing, dropping, harming civilians. It's near children's schools. Think of it, an Air Force base where the New York Public Library is, and how that would impact your lives. Think about it and do something, and join us. It's been called the Fukushima Marine Air Station on Okinawa, has been called the most dangerous air station in the world due to its location in the crowded city of Okinawa. 3,000 people live around it. 3,000 people. Just think about 3,000 people around the New York Public Library. In Gaza, Israel has continued its genocidal war on the people, on the children, on all living things, unabated, with U.S. supplied weapons, revealing the extraordinary network of the U.S. military war machine that connects settler, colonial, and military violence on two occupied lands, Okinawa and Palestine. The U.S. uses its network of military bases worldwide, over 150, to store its weapons and aircraft, including at the Kadena Air Force Base in Okinawa. Oh my goodness. So again, for all of you who are walking by, stop and listen to us about what this country, what the United States military is doing all over the world. If there were an emergency, those ambulances couldn't get near the public library. And think of the public library as a military base in the middle of New York City, how would you then feel about what is going on with the government and with the military? Plans are to relocate the Okinawa Bay, right? There's an attempt to move it to Yanbaru Forest to destroy the ecology. So not only are we taking over Okinawa, and do we have a military base in the middle of the city, but we now are reaching out to destroy the ecology around Okinawa. Do we accept that? No. So we need more people to come and listen to us. Today I stand before you, an American veteran, the daughter of an American Marine killed in the battle for the Pacific in 1944, to commemorate all those who were killed in this last battle of the Pacific War. 100,000 Okinawans, civilians, 1/4 of the population, 100,000 Japanese troops, 12,000 American soldiers. We gathered together in memory of the Battle of Okinawa in World War II, June 23rd, 1945, to remember those lost in war and pray for peace. Today, we, Okinawans, Japanese, and Americans, come together to heal the wounds of war, to walk side by side, hand in hand for peace, to vow that we will not be silent. We will struggle together for peace and justice in the world. From Okinawa to Palestine, we demand a ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. End occupation, militarism, colonialism now. Stand with us. And as Veterans for Peace, we say, no more war, no more war, no more war. And believe me, folks, all of you walking by on Fifth Avenue, it will come here, and then maybe you will have listened to us when we say, no more war. Thank you.
No more war.